In this episode, Peter returns to talk about deploying a branded employee application that is truly mobile first. More importantly, he discusses the importance of focusing on a strategic plan around the personal device. We talk about customer experiences and also where we see the industry headed. Enjoy. Today, Peter is back, and we are going to talk about what it means to go mobile and what you really, really need to be thinking about when you are formulating this idea of what mobility really means and how it impacts the people that it's going to be interacting with. And we were having a discussion before this began, and there was one key word that came into play, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, Peter. And that word, when you're talking about mobility, is personal. And there's something very important to think about when you're looking at how going mobile impacts the personal aspect of such a transformation.
Yeah, I think that's right. When you look at, so let's just talk numbers for a moment.
Sure.
There's something like 275 million people in the United States who have a mobile phone now.
Yeah.
And it is such a known thing. It's so well talked about. It's in our lived experience. People walking around just staring at this device in their pocket. If you go on public transportation, everyone is just sitting there staring at the same thing.
Sure.
It's just ubiquitous. And so in company internal communications, it becomes tempting to just pile into this conversation about mobile and it being ubiquitous and think to yourself, oh yeah, like if we added a mobile channel, like if we added an employee app, for example, like, oh yeah, it's just going to be ubiquitous because phones are ubiquitous. But there's a really important wrinkle in when you actually do an employee app project.
Yeah.
And this depends a little bit on the type of company that you are. There are companies out there that provide all of their employees with devices, but that's not everyone.
Right.
And that's not most companies. And it's definitely not most companies when it comes to diversified workforces, hourly workforces, the factory floor, healthcare, all of these different areas where it's just not common that the company is providing everyone with a phone. And that difference, the difference between thinking of mobile as in mobile company-given devices versus the penetration of personal mobile phones that people bought themselves and pay their own data plans for, that's a huge difference in reach. So I think when people approach internal communications and they think about an employee app, they really disregard this point in their minds. They sort of throw it all together. Oh, people have phones. We're just going to use their phones as our communications channel. And we don't have to think about for a second the fact that it's not really our channel. It's their channel.
Right. And there is, and this is where, when we were having a discussion before, you really touched on some questions that need to be asked is, when you're, by having this application on my device, not your device, my device. It's your company, my device, right? Just to be super clear there, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain patience and respect that is paramount to be successful.
Well, let's talk about it in sequence.
Sure.
Let's start with just like getting it on the device in the first place.
Right.
I mean, if you have mobile device management and you have company devices or you have a bring your own device program,
push it out.
You can just push it out.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah.
And this works great. And it promotes a really successful project because you get over that first hurdle, the adoption hurdle of people just getting it onto their phone.
However,
most companies, right? Most employees, they're not on MDM. They don't have a company device. And even if they did, if you're the company and you're trying to get their attention, you'd rather be on the personal device than the company one, right? So the only way you're going to get onto the personal device is if they download it, and they're going to choose to do that.
Yeah.
So they're going to choose to do it because you are marketing the heck out of it, and you're saying, guys, please download the phone. They're going to choose to do it because you sell them on it.
Right.
But getting them just even to download it in the first place is no joke.
Right.
And so one of the most essential elements of just getting that initial adoption is that the app itself be recognizable and trusted to the employee. They're going to download this thing to their personal phone. It's got to be a name that they know. So we think the Staffbase app doesn't cut it.
Right.
So for all our customers, they're not using the Staffbase app. They're getting their very own branded app that we're building for them, right? And then they're managing and using to communicate with.
Sure.
But it's their name on the outside, whether that's in the app store, their name, their developer account, or on a download page. It's got to be branded to the company.
Sure.
Otherwise, that first hurdle, it's too much to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's... You're spot on. If it was not branded, if it was not trusted, you're instantly saying it's just another app.
Yeah, well, it's just another app.
It's by not branding it, by not having your company at part of it, you're essentially downgrading and downplaying the importance of it in the first place.
Yeah, and it's that much less of your identity.
Right.
I mean, let's get right down to it. Like people, you go through life in this existence of seeing the physical boundary of your body as this limitation that you call yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And we're focused on number one, and this is evolutionary. This is sort of how we're wired.
Right.
And so you're going to see it as less personal. I mean, we take on a lot of things in our identity, and they're overlapping. I like this sports team. I'm from this area. I think I have this kind of personality. I love music. Like these things, we take them on as part of our identity, and they become part of that idea of me. The company you work for, well, you spend a lot of your time and energy there. That helps provide you your livelihood, helps provide you with a lot of important meaning in your life. That becomes an important part of your identity too. But some random company over here that I never heard of, like that's not part of my identity. And I'm not gonna as easily be persuaded to involve myself with it and put it on my personal device next to my other apps that I chose that are part of my identity.
Like what you're seeing? We hope so. If you'd like to learn more about Staffbase and what Staffbase offers, please go to staffbase.com and click on Schedule a Demo. We'd love to show you the product. Now back to the podcast. Enjoy.
So by this, even though it may sound simple, this idea of leveraging the brand is encouraging that type of environment too. And then you can add another level of it too, is that inside of that application is accessibility to things that directly impact you, your children, your family. And then it gives you a gateway potentially to communicate with your organization that you love and adore.
Yeah. And that brings us to sort of the next hurdle, right? So in the first place, you're trying to get them to adopt, trying to get them to download onto their personal device. And that's a big hurdle. And there's a lot of best practice about it, but being branded is really key. Once you've overcome that hurdle, okay, now you're on the personal device. The journey and the hard work doesn't end because now you got to compete with Instagram, Facebook, pictures of their children and family. Like you're there with the stuff that really matters. You're next to the stuff that really matters.
Right.
So if you're sending out push notifications 3 times a day, there's like news from some corporate office 500 miles away, like you're not going to be there for long. People won't tolerate that kind of distraction. They'll turn off the push notifications. So the app will be there. You'll think superficially, oh, my adoption was good, but your active usage won't be good. People won't keep logging into it, and you won't actually have that communications outlet that you thought you did, that you were looking for. So overcoming adoption, it's not your channel. You don't own it. So you have to persuade and sell people on downloading it. But the selling doesn't end, and you have to keep going.
Right.
So that's about making the app relevant to people and making it engaging. So what we see, relevance is about making things personal. So being able to target it that, hey, you're Jason, you work out of New York City office. If there's news about a New York City office closure and you get a push notification about it, you're going to be like, let me click on that.
Yeah.
And if that's the type of thing that you see and you think of the app as like that type of thing, like your office that you work out of and news about that, then you're probably not going to turn off push notifications. You're probably not going to get rid of this annoying spam, right? Because it's going to be relevant to you. And that's just a principle that what's on this platform has got to be valuable to people for them to keep using it.
And just to be clear, the flip side of that is the Detroit office did not get that notification.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The Detroit office needs to not get that notification. I mean, imagine, you work out of the Detroit office and you get push notifications twice a week about the team drinks that are happening in New York. Right. Like, not only is it sort of spammy, totally irrelevant, you're not going to go, and it's just eating up your attention and eating up your phone.
Yeah.
But like, it's also like maybe, make it, put a little chip on your shoulder. Like, why don't we have more, team drinks here in Detroit?
Right. And the new plant that opened in Shanghai, if there's a notification that the third floor emergency exit is blocked.
Right.
New York or Detroit wouldn't get that, but Shanghai absolutely will get that notification.
Exactly. Yeah. And this, I call this like really paying attention to and respecting the fact that it's a personal channel. I mean, if as a company that builds a platform like this, if you're not thoughtful about the fact that this is a personal channel, then you don't build in the kind of governance and targeting that's really necessary when you think about it as a personal channel.
We were talking about this in the other episode, that there's this desire, this eagerness to say, oh, wow, people are on social media and they're so engaged and there's so many people, there's millions of those millions has to be my employees, so we'll go do social too.
Right.
And we'll just do the social thing. And people are totally numb to the notifications and all that because that's just how they operate. So we don't need to respect any of that. We'll just throw it all out there and let people be social together.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just nonsense, right? And this, you see this so often. I mean, and look, internal communicators are in a tough spot.
Yeah.
They have a difficult challenge, which is they live in this crazy world where now, like every 10 years or something, we have a total paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And we've gone from personal computing, and now everybody has computers took up a whole room, to now it's a personal computer and everybody owns one, to now everyone's got one in their pocket.
Right.
And now we live in this world where attention is just, everything is demanding it. And you have Netflix is coming up with an algorithm. They're dropping 10 new shows every day and they have a perfect algorithm. They know which one's going to be right for you. As an internal communicator, you're competing with that.
Yeah.
Like everything, you're competing with the general attention problem that's just happening in this crazy world we live in.
And I think there's something to be said too, because when you peel it back and we talk to internal communicators and they're telling us, I just want to stop getting yelled at. Right. Because I send a message out that I'm required to send out, and I get all this hate mail back that's saying, stop mass emailing me.
Yeah.
Well, then if you go mobile and you're sending out the Detroit message to New York and Shanghai, you're doing it all over again.
Yeah.
So that's where the respect really comes in, because the personal element of trust.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing too. Is you're really there's an expectation that you respect that I'm putting this on my device. You know that this is my personal device. And also, you don't want to be interrupting me. You want to improve my efficiency, not bog it down.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it's got to be this kind of respectful approach, or the project is going to fail.
Yeah.
And you'll see it in the adoption numbers. You'll see it in the active usage numbers. And I think that's what people... our industry of like this mobile first communications platform, it's still relatively young. Like not all companies have it. It's becoming a thing. A lot of companies are bringing on this kind of project, but they're going to find out. I mean, right now it's just so new. There's a lot of energy around it, but they're going to see. Like our founder, Frank Wolf, saw, he did 10 years of SharePoint intranet projects before founding Staffbase. And what did he see? Huge investment, lots of time and energy going into building beautiful SharePoint intranets. And then at the end of the road, no change. No transformation, not for the internal communications team, which is still just getting dictated, oh, send this, send that, and not for the employees who there wasn't really an increase in reach at all. And what we're seeing with our customers, of course, we have duds too, where there's not a change.
Sure.
But for most of our customers, what we are doing is actually helping them transform their culture by bringing in this platform that respects that personal element of this channel. It's not just, print newsletter, email, and mobile, check, just add that to the list of channels and ship it out. You can't do that because it's a personal channel. And when you do respect it, you build in these use cases that keep employees coming back, whether that's things like integrating, being able for them to view their pay stubs right from the app, for example, or them when they get push notifications, it's always relevant.
Right.
We have a customer in Florida. They only send push notifications for 2 channels. One is when they have weather emergencies, and the other is where they have contests with prizes that people are winning.
Love it.
That's it. Only those conditions that they ever send push. And when you create you match that to your culture in the right way, you can get this project where 80% of people have downloaded it and 75% of those people are actively using it. And that's transformational for employees. They feel connected with in a whole new way. And it's transformational for internal communications because instead of it being, hey, internal comms, send this message, send that message. Now your CEO knows that you can get 75% of people to read something in an hour.
Yeah.
And you're not just becoming somebody that gets dictation to anymore. You have a seat at the strategic table, and people are turning to you saying, how did you do this? And how can I get involved with your platform? How can I get the word out about my initiative all around the organization? And you shift into more of a strategic role.
Yeah, it almost finds its way back to the dream of it being late at night, in your team and you are surrounding a pizza box.
Yeah.
And you're trying to change the world together.
Right.
And what happens when that pizza box the crowd that surrounds the pizza box is 10,000 people.
Right. Yeah. Then it just the high bandwidth situation of just face to face, it doesn't quite scale anymore.
Right. Interesting. I think there's a certain element that we need to dive a little bit deeper into as well, which is when we say we're a mobile first organization and the idea of being mobile, I do think that that's still kind of confusing.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on just what your experience and what the perception of mobile is versus what it actually is?
Yeah, totally. Totally. So we talked a bit about like this whole fact that it's personal mobile channel and needing to respect that and so on. There are so many confusions around this beyond even just the personal versus company device confusion. Let's talk about, first of all, just what you can be on the phone in one of several different ways, right? You can be on the phone because you have a website and people are coming to your website through their phone. You have a mobile web browser and you go to the website through the phone. Let's call that number one.
Sure.
Number two, you can be on the phone as an app, as a native app, as it's called. It's another app on their device, like the Facebook app that's downloaded there. And let's call that the second option, the second way you can be there.
Sure.
The third is you can be a branded app, which is actually has the company's name on the outside of the app. Why are these three? Why do I call them out as 3 different ways? Because it's really important, and there are really important differences between them. Right. And people in the marketplace, vendors who are trying to make money, will tell you anything. They will claim that 1 is 3 and 3 is 2 and 2 is 1. They'll say it's all the same. We're mobile. It's not. In the first case, when you're just on the web browser, this doesn't give you access to the so-called native capabilities, the capabilities which are native to the phone itself. This means push notifications, most importantly. You literally can't send a push notification from a website.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So if you're in a situation where that's the way that you are mobile, you're missing push, which is one of the most important things about being mobile.
Right.
The ability to go and grab attention, not just sit back and wait for people to come to you.
Sure.
In the second case, being sort of not branded versus branded, that's number 2 and number 3. This is really different, and it's really confusing because you can be branded on the inside of the app, but not on the outside. And there are vendors in our space or maybe like adjacent to our space who will say, oh yeah, you know, we have a mobile app and it's a branded mobile app. And what they mean is, you know, it's just vendor name app. Once you open the app, then on the inside, it has your colors, it has Jason Company colors and Jason Company branding, but the branding's on the inside. It's not the Jason Company app name on the door, right? And this is really essential difference to the true fully branded app, that sort of third, version or the third mode that you can actually be mobile. So there's lots of confusion there. The other thing is about mobile first. Okay, and what the heck does mobile first mean? So the implication is if you're really a mobile first company and you think about these 3 channels, you know, being just a website so you don't have push notifications, that doesn't strike me as really putting a priority on mobile. That seems like mobile has the backseat.
Yes.
Similarly, when it's not branded, it feels like you're not leaning into the full power of being mobile and allowing users to identify with the brand on the outside as well as on the inside. And so to us, from our point of view, that's really more of a mobile second approach than a mobile first approach.
Sure.
And then the third, when it's a branded mobile application, we think that is the standard, and that should be the first, point of judgment for saying, okay, seems like it could be a mobile first company.
Yeah.
Beyond that mode of how you're on mobile, it's just a philosophy. It's an orientation. Like when you think about and design your app or your platform, and you have a desktop version and a mobile version, which pretty much every vendor does now, which one do you think of first?
Yeah.
And what are you really designing for? And every company is either one or the other. Every company is mobile first or they're not mobile first. So for us, we're mobile first. We take the most difficult road, which is the branded road, to deliver it. And we design and build the platform with mobile in mind.
Like what you're seeing? We hope so. If you'd like to learn more about Staffbase and what Staffbase offers, please go to staffbase.com and click on Schedule a Demo. We'd love to show you the product. Now back to the podcast. Enjoy.
You know what that reminds me of, is just to use a specific example, is when you are on your phone and you're watching a video, maybe this video, and you are forced to turn the phone this way in order to fully appreciate the media. To me, that is not mobile first.
Great example. Yeah.
When you're on Instagram and you're holding your phone and you're on the train and you have this beautiful screen and it fills the entire real estate, you're kind of wowed by that. That experience is really special. I don't have to turn my phone. I don't have to do anything. I just stay that, and it's designed for what is in my hand.
Yep.
Just like I don't necessarily, joked about this earlier, I don't necessarily want to read 50 pages on my mobile device, right?
No, probably not.
But I wouldn't mind listening to something. I wouldn't mind watching a snippet that will drive me to it.
Yeah.
But using the video example in particular, because video is so important to how people are consuming and digesting information.
Yes.
I would also add audio to that too. I think audio is actually a little bit more accessible, because especially for people that travel a lot.
Yeah.
Because it is awkward, you can get motion sickness, things like that. But to be able to listen to something very easily, put the phone back in my pocket, is a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
And I feel
Well,
like that's why,
you see that with podcasts, right?
Yes.
That's why podcasts are exploding all over the place.
You're able to digest things. Audible.
Yeah.
Amazon's Audible is wonderful because, people are able to read books that they've always wanted to read, but they had to sacrifice. Do I spend time with my 3-year-old or do I sit down and read a book for 4 hours before, So, but with Audible, you're able to, knock those out, which is great.
This is a thing now. I mean, companies that come to us that use a staff-based platform are doing podcasts.
Right.
They're doing company podcasts.
Right.
And even it's not just like all company podcasts. We have like business units or like different groups within the company start using the platform to do that, because when you really get into it, especially the customers that have been with us for longer and see the platform evolve and see how powerful it can be, they start using it for more and more local authorship.
Yes.
And local readership, and that includes like these podcasts. So we had a feature release where we changed some of the way that we were handling audio as part of this reflection of being mobile first and respecting that that's an essential medium for our audience.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and I think that's the difference. And when you find out that the only way to access X information, when 90% of the time I'm on my phone and I have to go to a website and I have to then find out that I have to pinch or expand like this to see where I put my username and see where I put my password. And then I get to the site and it's just designed for my iMac and not my iPhone.
Yeah.
The difference is pretty staggering.
Yeah.
And even if it does, shift around accurately, it's still not the right experience.
Yeah.
Because it looks just like that. It looks like it's just shifted around, but the intention is for you to live on your iMac.
Yes. Intention's important.
Yeah.
Intention is like a seed. And you can't get a fruit tree from a seed of a different tree.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I think to put a bow around this, let's just talk a little bit more about this, what personal means. And I think that we talked about the respect that is necessary. We talked about the importance of brand. And because that's personal too.
Yeah.
That's my company.
That's your identity.
Yeah, it's where we work. And then we also talked about the misguided view of what social media is and how sometimes presenting information that looks like you're just trying to leverage something that looks successful maybe isn't the right way to go.
Yeah.
What else? What else makes this personal? What haven't we touched on yet that just sort of puts a bow on it at the end? Like, is there anything remaining that you think that we haven't touched on yet? My guess is maybe it's the not just the push notifications, but there's also a level of accessibility to information that is very relevant to me and me alone, or me and my unit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's accessibility of information. In a way, it's about broadening our understanding of what user experience is.
Okay.
And what I talk about this sometimes, like, and this might sound silly, but push notification governance sounds like sort of an arcane, like weedsy idea for like a communications platform. But push notification governance is one of the most important user experience principles that you can have on a platform like this.
Right.
Because ultimately, push notification governance isn't about some back end and some, big long menu settings system. It's not about that at all. It's about, did I get the push notification that was spammy or not? And that can come down to some decisions that you make as an administrator about which channels have the power of push, whether push is just automatically turned on by default, or does the author have to go out of their way to turn it on? We really exist in this paradigm with these communications platforms where we've said we want the communications to be more relevant and more personal. Well, if you want to do that, you can't have one person being the only one who's publishing any content ever.
Right.
And once you broaden beyond one person, then the person who creates the channel and puts the governance into place is a different person than the person that's writing for it, right? And understanding these differences and how they're bearing on the user experience becomes this essential part of what the user experience is, which for the most part people think is, how do the buttons look? And can I put this over there? And yes, it is about that. But all of these governance things and these thoughtful ways that it works to facilitate local authors to be easy to use so that your local authors could be someone who's not, some technology expert, could even be a little technophobic and still figure it out. That becomes, more and more what it means to be personal and to be mobile as you peel back the onion.
And you tapped on something that really I have yet, and I'm sure they're out there, but I have yet to experience an organization where at the top level, the goal was to make all interaction very difficult. Right. I haven't yet to meet a CEO where her sole primary objective was to make it impossible to find information, learn more about the organization, and know what's going on.
Right.
I have yet to find and talk to anyone who's responsible to deliver information that is excited and engaged to make and prevent any type of engagement, communication, and really keeps their finger crossed that the adoption and the numbers of people actually reading and consuming the information is less than 10%.
Yeah.
And then I've also yet to meet anyone who starts working at an organization that keeps their fingers crossed, hoping that the CEO does not want to communicate, does not want them to be involved. They want to feel like a number, and they want to make sure that they are completely isolated from the entire organization. They just want to show up, maybe do their job, hopefully get paid and not get fired in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the Office is a TV show, right?
Yeah.
It's not what people actually want to be living in their life.
Right.
It's making fun of something that doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
But it is that way just out of human nature, and out of the challenge of scale. Right. Like, as you said, nobody's trying to make it difficult to find everything. It just is when you're trying to do things with a team of 10,000 people.
Right.
I mean, it's incredible what we can do as human beings and as organizations to get tens of thousands of people organized around a problem and moving in the same direction. It's not easy.
Right. That's just it. And I think that sometimes it's so easy to get lost in the features, as you were talking about, or getting lost in trying to not lose enormous investments that have been made.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're just trying to make the client experience, the communication experience, the relevance of being part of this company, this brand, easier.
Yeah, totally. And the return on investment, all of the changes into business operations, the cultural transformation will follow. Like the hard number stuff, it will come too. Right. But like this softer approach and mindset of respect and being personal, it has to be a part of the approach.
I mean, I think it's one of our the guides is the ROI of an employment ad.
Yes.
And Lara, who put it together, did some amazing work. It was the Harvard Business Review jumped on with it too. And I think the one thing that just was so strong in that message was when you put in the effort and people start to get excited and love how easy it is to do things, all of those huge, big, hairy numbers that are scary, like turnover, return of investment, this big question mark word called engagement.
Yes.
They start to go in the right direction.
That's right.
And that's where that respect, that carefulness, and that acute attention to how personal this experience needs to be.
Yeah.
Because if it's not personal, if you don't put that attention in, you're going to get exactly what you're putting in, which is not that.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And this has been really, really helpful. I think we learned a lot about the governance of push notifications. We learned a lot about what mobile first is versus being mobile available.
Right.
We learned a lot about the effort that it's going to take to do this right.
Yeah.
But the payoff is pretty substantial.
Yeah, and the personal mobile channel.
Yeah.
As opposed to the work mobile channel, which people don't even make the distinction because mobile just is personal phones, you know, in the big picture.
Right. I like that. Peter, thank you very much. This has been another excellent episode. Thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Take care. Bye, everyone.